everyone, it's Samantha, and today I want to talk about my family budget for 2015. Now, I don't feel comfortable discussing very many numbers with you guys or specific numbers. I feel like finances are a little bit personal. I don't want people comparing themselves to these numbers. So I feel like numbers aren't the best way to go, but I do want to talk about kind of our overall spending plan and our budget ideas and how we kind of approach things. I'm doing this on a planner day because it is kind of planner related in the fact that I do try to keep things organized. I'll talk about how I organize things as we go. But first, I want to give you guys kind of an overall idea of where we are. For one thing, we are debt-free aside from our house. We did not have student loans. My husband and I both got scholarships and we went to a public in-state school in Tennessee where we're from. So how Tennessee colleges work is there's a lottery, just like, gambling lottery, and that lottery funds scholarships for public universities. So we both chose to go to University of Tennessee. We both got the lottery scholarship money, and with that money, I got a bump up because my grades were really good, and they ended up pretty much paying my way through school. I got an excess check for the first 3 years, which covered some of my gas money, and it also covered my book expenses. So I really basically got paid to go to school. And you only get that for so many years, and I ended up being in school for 5.5 years. The rest of the time my mom paid for the tuition, and then I paid for my books and my gas. We did commute from a small town close to the campus to campus. It was about a 30-minute drive, and it did take some gas money. And my husband didn't have quite as good a grades as me, but he had most of his tuition paid for, and his parents covered the rest of his tuition and his books. So we were very, very fortunate that our parents were in a position where they could help us and they were willing to help us out, not getting student loans. We both lived at home at my mom's house, so we didn't have to worry about living expenses. We ended up with no debt going out of school, and my husband ended up doing grad school, and he got his grad school paid for because he worked for the university. He did various things, research stuff, TA stuff, so he would get his school paid for. He got a stipend that covered his books and our living expenses. I can't say it enough. We were very fortunate to not have any sort of debt or any student loans from our school. So I ended up with 2 bachelor's degrees, and he ended up with a bachelor's and a master's degree. Now he is our sole provider. He is a software engineer. I don't work. I don't plan on working anytime soon, especially now that I'm pregnant. I am going to be a stay-at-home mom. If we get into a situation where we need the extra money, I will work. For the time being, we live pretty comfortably on the one income, and we're saving a lot. We're putting a lot into retirement. So right now it's just unnecessary, and I'd much rather be home with my daughter, and it just works for our family a lot better having me home managing the house stuff so he can really concentrate on what's important at his job. His job is one of those brain jobs where you really, have to be focused and you have to perform at a certain level. He worked really hard in school and landed a very nice job out of school, and we're very fortunate that his income puts us in a comfortable place. We're not rich by any stretch of the imagination, but we're also not living paycheck to paycheck. We're able to live pretty comfortably because we're not big spenders. So if we were to try to go out and spend tons of money and always want new cars and new clothes and all the latest fashion and stuff, then we probably would be broke. Especially my husband is really, really tight with money, and he only spends money on practical things. So that's kind of where we are. We're in a comfortable space. We can't just go out and blow tons of money, but we also don't have to stick to a very strict budget. So as far as planning and bill paying goes, there's only 2 bills that come out via check that we have to actually physically mail or pay every month, and the rest of them are auto pay. They just come straight out of our checking account, but all my bill paying and money management stuff is in my iCal. I find that that just works better for me. I don't like writing the same old thing down every single month, so it didn't work for me to write that stuff down in my planner. It really helps me just having it in my phone. It's one less thing to think about, and it's one less thing that clutters up my planner. The only other thing I actually use my physical planner for is to keep track of my own spending, and that's just things that aren't included in our family budget. But I do get, my own set money that I can use every month for whatever I want, so I keep track of that in my book, and I try not to go over that, but Sometimes I go over it. It's not really that big a deal if I do go over it. You know, savings and retirement money are priorities for both of us. So I just know anything that I spend on frivolous stuff is just money that's not going into our savings and it's not going into our retirement. So I do try to keep myself accountable, not go overboard on spending for frivolous stuff. And I'm not a minimalist by any means, but I do follow a couple of minimalist blogs and I really like the principles of that. I'm working on being a little bit more minimalist. I am minimalist in certain parts of our lives, but not everywhere. So just to keep track of my own impulse shopping and my own, my own spending money, I do use my planner. Otherwise, I get bill reminders on my phone. Sometimes there's problems with websites and stuff, so I do double check to make sure things are coming out when they're supposed to come out so we don't have any problems. Really, because we're debt free, we don't have all that many bills. Off the top of my head, we have cable and internet, electric, water and sewer, garbage, our mortgage, because we do own our house, car insurance and health insurance and all the insurances. But we don't have car payments. Both of our cars are fully paid for and we haven't upgraded our cars. So my car's over 10 years old and Johnny's car is over 7 years old, and when they die, we'll get new cars. And until then, we're gonna keep the same cars. I have a Honda and Hondas can live to be really, really old cars. So same with my husband. He's got a Toyota and Toyotas are known for being really, really reliable. So hopefully, fingers crossed that our cars last us a really long time. And by the time we need new cars, we'll have enough saved up that we can just pay for new cars outright. And like I said, all our bills are on auto pay except 2. And for those 2, we actually get physical payment slips in the mail. It's a good reminder. Also, I have them in my phone to make sure that I pay them. And if they don't, for some reason, come in the mail, I can still pay them. When they do come in the mail, I try to be really vigilant about paying them the next day and putting the check in the mail the next day so that they're not just sitting on the desk and getting ignored or getting forgotten. I just do it while I have it fresh in my mind and get it over with. Now for groceries, we're really not strict on our grocery budget, but I try to stick around $500 a month, it's around $100 to $125 a week. And I try to get a lot of fresh stuff. If you guys have watched my grocery hauls, I do get a lot of vegetables and stuff. I buy certain things on sale like meat because meat can be very expensive. We do pretty veggie heavy meals, and I buy junk food and stuff when it's on sale because it's also expensive. I just do make sure we eat really nicely and try to eat healthy, so I don't really sweat it. We're not really on a strict budget where it has to be a certain level. And the grocery budget also includes house stuff, like I were to buy at Target, any kind of house product like toilet paper or that kind of thing, but it does not include my Honest Company bundles that I get from time to time. I bump up my bundles with add-ons to make them about $50. That means I get free shipping on those. So anytime I get an Honest bundle, it's about $50. And I just do that as needed. Like I said, we do put money in savings and retirement, and those just go directly into the accounts before we even see the paycheck. And we live off of whatever's left. For going out to eat and for our date nights, we try to stick to $100 to $150 a month, and that covers any time we want to go out to eat. If I go out to lunch with friends, it comes out of that money. If we have date nights, any kind of date thing, we go to the movies, it comes out of that money. We do a cash-only system for that. I just take some money out of our bank account every month or 2 weeks, and that's what we have for date nights and stuff. And when it runs out, that's it for the month. One thing we do is we talk about any major purchases, and what we consider major is anything over $100. So if I want to spend over $100 on anything, or he wants to spend over $100 on anything, we get together and we talk about it and we make sure we're both comfortable with it. And things under that, we just purchase as we want them or as we can afford them. We also save our large house purchases for around Christmas time. We know where our budget is, we know how much we've spent that year, and we can look and see, okay, it's okay if we spend X amount of money on the house this Christmas. So as far as household expenses or dog expenses, our dogs are aging, so they are going to the vet more often, it seems like. The vet bills are higher than they were when, they just get the yearly checkup. Now it's like they go in and it costs a bunch of money. So we're just dealing with those events as they come up. We do have our savings built up that if something major happens, it's not a catastrophe. We've got the money to cover it, and that's why we save money. So as far as discretionary income, we try not to spend a whole lot. You know, I'm not into fashion, I'm not into handbags, I'm not into designer stuff. We're not into getting the latest and greatest electronics. We have older cars. I wear clothes until they're raggedy, and then I'll buy new clothes. And with everything that we buy for the house, we try to research it and buy the best quality that we can afford without paying too much money just for the brand name. So we're just buying things once versus multiple times, having to replace things over and over again. I don't go out and get my hair and nails done very often, so I save a lot of money not doing that all the time. We have basic cable, so we're not spending a ton of money on a cable package. I get my books from our library, and our library here is really cool. They do a lot of ebooks and audiobooks you can get through their online app, and it's free. So I love that. I get all my books that way. I rarely ever buy a book. So there's a lot of things we don't spend money on. Mainly we spend money on date nights, and I spend money on crafty stuff, but that comes out of my crafty earnings. I have a separate account that keeps track of all my business expenses because I do run a blog and I do run a YouTube channel for my crafty stuff. So my regular old discretionary purchases do come out of our joint account. We just try to save as much money every month as possible. Speaking of savings, we are having a baby soon. So what we did was we purchased all the baby stuff gradually. Started purchasing a few months after we found out I was pregnant, and just purchased things slowly over time so it didn't have to come out all at once. I tried my best to just get essentials. I tried not to go overboard with the cute stuff, and I got almost all of her clothes secondhand, so it saved us a ton of money on baby clothes. I paid, $3 an outfit versus $18 an outfit or something crazy. And we plan on just incorporating the baby expenses into our just grocery and household budget every month. We might have to raise it up from that $500 mark. We're going to be cloth diapering, so diapering is not going to cost very much, but there's all sorts of baby expenses. So we'll cross that bridge when we get there and just incorporate that in, like I said. So like the main overarching goals of our budget is to just save as much as we can for retirement, save as much in our savings account as possible. So mainly we just live within our means, we don't overspend, and there's a lot of ways we choose not to spend. And like I said, I didn't talk very many specific numbers or anything, but that gives you an idea of kind of the way we live and the way we budget, and it also gives you an idea of how I keep track of all the budgeting stuff. And that is it for today, so I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you have a budgeting video, I'd love to see what your budget's going to look like this year. I'm always curious to see what other people spend and how other people are living, so you can leave that video below if you have a budgeting video, and I'll be sure to check it out. Going along with that, I have got a question of the day. What is the one thing you spend lots of money on? For me, it's crafty stuff. I just love buying crafty stuff. I couldn't care less about fashion and that type of stuff, but if you put me in a craft store, I can spend major money. So I would love to hear what your weakness is as far as spending. So leave that answer down below. And that is it for today. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. Please give it a thumbs up if you like budgeting videos, and I'll catch you guys next time. Thanks so much for watching, and don't forget to subscribe. Have a great day. Bye.